How much time do you spend on a computer screen every day? Probably more than you think. From the moment we wake up, we're checking the time and snoozing the alarm on our phones. Sometimes followed by a good 15 minutes or so of Reddit or Instagram. On average, I spend a good 7 to 9 hours a day in front of the screen for work. Then another 5 to 6 hours for leisure activities, YouTube, Netflix, gaming. If you include in the mobile phone screen, maybe a good 16 hours in total. That's a lot of time spent with our eyes up against a bright digital screen. I work remotely with teams spanning multiple time zones. While that means that I maintain a flexible schedule without needing to go into the office much, I do tend to work pretty late into the night at home. So let's talk about this work from home setup. Hunching over a laptop for long hours isn't great for your physical health. Over time, everything starts to ache. Your back, your shoulders, your neck, your wrists. To prevent this, ergonomic upgrades are essential. Raise your laptop, get a better chair, use a footrest. Improving your posture significantly reduces those aches and pains. But what's the most crucial component for a work-from-home setup? The display. If you're in front of a screen for extended hours, a larger display can make a world of difference ergonomically. Lean back, stop hunching, and see more without the neck and shoulder strain. Why not throw in some eye care features too? Introducing the BenQ RD280U, part of BenQ's new programming series. Unlike gaming monitors with high refresh rates, or those for graphic professionals with top-notch color accuracy, this one's tailored for coders. The RD series comes in 3 sizes, a 24, 28, and a 32-inch that's coming later this year. The one I have here is the 28-inch. First impressions? The aspect ratio is unconventional. This 3:2 ratio screen offers a resolution of 3840 by 2560, essentially a 4K display with extra vertical space. I like the little touches that BenQ put on this display, like this leather-like cable strap at the back, and this scale measurement on the stand itself. It makes it easier to set the monitor to specific heights. This unit has been on loan to me for a couple of weeks, and has been an interesting experience so far. The RD280U fits rather seamlessly into my lifestyle. After an afternoon of meetings outside, I get back home and plug in my MacBook. A single cable is enough to dock everything, since the monitor is capable of providing up to 90 watts of power. The screen's aspect ratio took some getting used to, but it does boost productivity. Those extra lines of text make a difference when working with long code files, compared to working on a laptop screen directly. Now you get a much better view of 2 full-page documents. It may not seem significant because, sure, I can just tap between 2 different windows, but I sometimes try to describe this to my non-developer colleagues that when I work, in my head I'm not just looking at the code. What I'm doing is forming a visual mind map of whatever app I'm working on, and I'm watching as the data flows through the different views in the app. Almost like reading the matrix code.
I don't even see the code. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
The high-resolution panel with the high pixel density also means being able to use high DPI mode, or as the Apple folks like to call it, Retina display. At these resolutions, you get very high-quality text that's a joy to read. The RD280U also has a fine-coated panel that makes it highly anti-reflective, which works great for use in a well-lit room. I don't actually spend a lot of time at the workspace in the daytime though. When I'm in the zone, or I'm pushing for deadlines, I'm most focused between the wee hours of 11 PM and 6 AM. It's during these hours, I think, that the monitor really shines. For starters, I really love the moon halo. In the past, getting nice backlighting meant working with troublesome LED strips that you would have to stick on. BenQ's moon halo is built into the monitor, and it can be set to auto-dim and sync with the monitor's brightness settings. The backlight ring can also be set to 270 or 360 degree modes depending on your preference and also the color warmness. The RD280U also sees the return of BenQ's suite of eye care features. Low blue light reduces blue light emitting from the display. Brightness Intelligence Gen 2 manages brightness automatically based on user preference and ambient light. Eye Reminder pings you to take a break at set intervals, Although I have to be honest, I tend to ignore this reminder a lot. Then there's the new night hours protection, automatically switching to the minimum brightness you're comfortable with when you're in a dark environment, and this is done automatically. I don't like tweaking settings regularly, so a lot of these eye care features are set once and forget, then I let the monitor take care of me. The real game changer for me is actually the new coding hotkey. Which other monitor in the market gives you a dedicated coding button? This has become my get serious switch. When I'm diving into the zone, I hit it. It toggles between 3 modes: coding light theme, coding dark theme, and for me, mBook mode. I use dark theme most since I code in dark backgrounds, and for everything else, I use mBook mode, which works the best with macOS and my MacBook laptop screen. The only problem when you get into the zone is that before you know it, it's already 5 AM. This is usually when I start telling myself, hey, let's just fix one last thing, then we go to sleep. But this one last thing somehow takes ages, also because you're tired, your eyes are tired, and it gets harder to focus. During these moments, I often switch to e-paper mode to keep things even more comfortable. It's almost like reading a Kindle in bed versus reading it on a brighter iPad. At 6 AM, that's usually when I really finally decide to call it a day, but I still want to wind down a little bit before I sleep. This is when the built-in KVM comes in. In the past, I'll use something like this USB switcher to share my keyboard and mouse between the PC and laptop. But with the RD280U, switching sources to the PC also automatically switches my connected peripherals. A quick way for me to quickly get that 1 or 2 daily quests in before I go to bed. Ports on this display are pretty straightforward. You get DisplayPort, HDMI, USB-C. I have these connected to my gaming PC, Nintendo Switch, and MacBook. It also has another USB-C port which you could potentially use to daisy-chain a second display. Keyboard, mouse, audio, these go to the ports on the underside of the monitor. While there are built-in speakers, I prefer using my own bookshelf speakers. The last new feature is eco-privacy. Presence detection sensors turns off the display when you walk away, and turns it back on when you return. At my home though, this is less of a privacy feature for me, and more of a power-saving one. BenQ also has their new Display Pilot 2 software companion that works with the RD series monitors. You get a widget with quick software controls, allowing you to quickly pretty much change every setting without touching the physical controls of the monitor. You can control brightness, turn on and off the features like the moon halo, low blue light, night hour protection, and more. You also get the desktop partition window management tool to help you manage multiple windows. And then there is circadian mode, which isn't available through the monitor OSD controls. Circadian mode is similar to the night shift mode that's built into macOS, but it modifies the low blue light filter settings of the monitor according to sunrise, sunset, or manual time schedule. The coolest feature for me is app-specific color modes, letting Display Pilot change the color mode on the display according to the app that's open. For example, auto-switching to the coding dark theme for Xcode, then back to mBook if I switch over to Photoshop. And that's the new BenQ RD280U in a nutshell. So there's this ongoing joke in my house. I once bought a high refresh rate monitor because I thought it would give me a much better gaming experience when playing Call of Duty. But spoiler alert, 144Hz refresh rate doesn't actually improve your shooter skills. And I was made fun of quite a bit for that. The point is, these days, when I shop for gadgets and tech upgrades, I focus a lot more on productivity since that's the majority usage of the workspace, and less on the hobbies and gaming part. There's a very specific audience that BenQ is targeting with this RD line, especially when you have that get in the zone coding button, and it's those little details that attract me. If you're a software developer setting up a new workspace, do check out BenQ's new RD line of programming monitors, especially this RD280U. It combines both productivity and eye care in one workspace upgrade. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.